بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ثم ما بعد اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا وارفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. So in the previous class we covered the three types of water, its definition. So we looked into it that there is a difference of opinion among the scholars in the actual categorizations of water. So looked into it and we said that the majority scholars uh, categorize water into three different names. They say there is water that is tahur, and there is water that is tahir, and they say there is water that is najas. So the scholars who categorize water into three categorization or into three types, for them tahur water is that water which is number one, unchanged. It is in its pure state. It is itself pure and it is purifying for others. Yani it can be used for your tahara. They say that for them, the water that is tahir, so first one is tahur, the water that is tahir, they say that it is pure by itself, but it is not purifying for others. That's what they say. And it can be said otherwise that water whose name is changed completely. Okay, it has changed so much through mixing with pure things that it is still something that is pure, but it is no more a water. Maybe it's a juice, it's a tea, it's a soda, something like that. And then they have the water that is najas, which is impure due to its contact with an impurity, and due to that contact, there is a change in its color, taste, or smell. طيب. And then we discuss that there are other scholars, and that is inshallah the correct opinion, and Allah knows best, is that actually water is different, divided into two categories, tahur and najas. There is no third category because they say that that third category is not even considered as water. Okay, so this is something that we discussed, and it was just a quick review before I go to the next topic. Now we need to keep in mind that the author of Zadul Mustaqni and the Mu'tamid of the Madhab is that water is of three types. So while we are studying the matan, we are going to see that the author is going to speak about water that is tahur, and then he is going to speak about water that is tahir, and then he's going to speak about water that is najas. So to understand the text, we are going to look into how he describes water as tahir and its hukum, but we need to keep in mind that inshallah bi'idhnillah, and knowledge is with Allah, Allah knows best, but the correct opinion, as the scholars mention in the light of the evidences, is that water is of two types. So for understanding, we will look into the text and what the author is trying to say. But while I mention those masail and explain you how the situation is, I will constantly remind you that that if we consider water as only two type, then this is not applicable to us, inshallah. So to make that clear, this is the first thing that I want to discuss before we move on to the topic and to the explanation and definition of different types of water. So now after the Muallif rahimahullah, after he's saying that al-miyahu thalathatun, that water is of three types, he goes on to say the first one, which is tahur, the first type of water, which is tahur. So keep this in mind all of the time while we are discussing about waters, and keep it in your mind, or maybe take a screenshot of this, or you have the picture inshallah bi'idhnillah. Keep it in front of you while we discuss about the different types of water throughout the book. So firstly he says tahur water. The first thing that while defining this water for us, what he does is first he tells us its usage, and then he tells us what it is. So for example, if I have a stick, say for example I have a stick which I use to, like for example, which I use to guide my animals, right? Like I have a herd of sheep and I guide them. I'm a shepherd, so I guide them, for example. So now I have the stick in my hand, and I want to tell you what is this thing in my hand. So I start by saying that this thing is used to guide the sheeps throughout the mountain, and it is actually a stick made of wood. You see what I'm trying to say? To define something, you can either say what it is, or you can first say its use case, and then you can say what it is. So the Muallif rahimahullah, what he is doing is he's first saying tahur, then he's saying its use case, yani how it is used, its usage, and then he is defining what it actually is. So he says tahur is a water which لا يرفع الحدث. يعني الحدث, and we all know what hadath is, we all know what raf'ul hadath is. So he's saying tahur, water, is a water that hadath is not removed, ولا يزيل النجس الطارئ. And you know, for now I'll just say this word, this phrase as it is. And an-najasu tari'u is not removed غيره, except without it. So he's trying to say that tahur water is a water without which you cannot uplift your hadith and you cannot remove an-najasu tari'u. An-najas means impurity. A-tari'u, what it is, I'll explain you now. Okay, and that's why I have underlined it over here. طيب. So now let's first understand this. What is the meaning of an-najasu tari'u? Okay, or an-najasa tariya in this sentence. So najasa or an-najas, it can be yani it is of two types. The first type is najasatu ayniya, which is yani the najasa in and of itself. For example, urine or feces or the saliva of a dog, or things like that. Those things are impure in and of itself. That itself is something that is impure. So, for example, if you have like if you have uh, if you have like if you have urine, no matter how much you twist and like no matter how much you whatever you do with it, it will still be impure. You can never purify a urine. You can never purify a feces. You can never purify the saliva of a dog. That itself is something that is impure. Yani impure in and of itself. So this is najasatun ayniyatun. طيب. And then there is najasatun hukmiyatun. Yani something that is impure due to its ruling. For example, something that is originally pure, like your shirt, your qamis, your thobe, that is pure, but it became impure due to an impurity touching it. Now, when I say your thobe is impure, you should wash it. Do I mean that your thobe in and of itself, like in and itself, is an impure thing? No. In and of itself is something that is pure, that is halal. But because it came in touch with something that is impure, that's why we're saying this is an-najasu tari'u. Yani this is a najasa hukmiya. That is taking the ruling of najasa, but it's not in and of itself najasa. So an-najasatu tariya أو طارية is najasatul hukmiya. So this is the type of najasa that the Muallif rahimahullah is saying, to remove this type of najasa, najasa hukmiya, and to uplift hadath, you cannot do this without using tahur water. Okay? And then he says, وَهُوَ, and it is al-baqi ala khilqatihi. It is a water that is upon its natural state, the way it came down from the skies through rain, or the way it came from the earth, Yani the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent it to us naturally, it is upon its natural state. This water is tahur. It is pure itself and it is purifying to others. How? It can be used for raf'ul hadath. It can be used for zawalul khabath. Okay? Specifically, yuzilu yuzilu najasa tariya. Now, we need to understand this, that this is the opinion of the madhab. Yani, according to the madhab, if you have a piece of cloth and someone urinated on it, to purify this piece of cloth, you have to use water. You have to use tahur water. And this is the opinion of the madhab. Walakin, the correct opinion, and Allah knows best, is the opinion that the other group of scholars opt for, which is that najasa is something that is meant to get rid of. Now, however you get rid of it, no problem, but you just need to get rid of it. So be it through water, be it through drying in the sun, be it through dry cleaning, or whatever modern ways, as long as the najasa is removed from the place and that cloth or that place is purified, khalas, purification is done. So this is according to the madhab, but the correct opinion, Allah knows best, is that you cannot, yani, as long as you have achieved and freed yourself from the impurity, inshallah, you are pure bidnillah. طيب. So this is the thing that we covered today. So it is tahur water. The Muallif Rahimullah first mentions its use case, and then he mentions what it itself is. Yani what is this water? It is a water that is upon its natural state. So this is what the Muallif is defining. And remember, what did we learn? Tahur water. We say tahur water is something. This agrees with the Muallif. It is unchanged water upon its natural state. It is pure and it is purifying for others. So till this far, we agree, except for one point, which is that that najasa hukmiya, which is an najasatu tari'u, cannot be removed except for tahur water. We say that no, tahur water is not a must for it. Instead, somehow, no matter how the najasa is removed, as long as the najasa is removed, alhamdulillah, it's all good. And remember, when we're talking about removing najasa, we're talking about najasatul hukmiyya. طيب, and something that is originally pure but became impure due to contact with intrinsic impurity, which is najasatu najasatun ayniyatun, yani something that is impure in and of itself, like urine, feces, and saliva, and other things that is impure, which we will come later in the chapter. So I hope that makes sense. If anything that I have said wrong, it's from me and shaitan. Allah's messenger is free from it. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك جزاكم الله خيرا السلام عليكم ورحمة الله